The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal Audra Charles and the villainous return, when Victor Newman plays with fire and Kyle Abbott is hunted. Kyle's life is in danger after drinking Audra's poison. Genoa City is facing an underground earthquake and its epicenter is none other than Audra Charles. Over the past time, viewers of The Young and the Restless have gotten to know a gentler, more sympathetic Audra, a woman who was betrayed, fired, and is struggling to redefine herself after the emotional wounds of her relationship with Kyle Abbott. However, all goodness has its limits. And now, Audra's true face, sharp, wise, and cunning, is gradually returning, bringing storms not only to Kyle but also to Victor Newman. The past never sleeps. When a snake smiles, Audra Charles has never really been a good girl. From the moment she first set foot in Genoa City, she proved herself to be a master at manipulating emotions, power, and relationships to serve her own goals. A charming chameleon, Audra skillfully created the image of a strong businesswoman, but behind that was a mind ready to strike back, turn the tables, and tear off any mask if necessary. The betrayal from Kyle, her former ally, lover, and ruthless man who pushed her into unemployment, did not break Audra. On the contrary, it could be the lever that made her survival instincts sharper than ever. When a woman like Audra loses power, she does not beg. She waits. And now, the opportunity has come, in the form of a treacherous handshake from Victor Newman himself. Victor Newman, next ally or next prey? Victor never hires anyone without a reason, especially someone like Audra. The Newman boss sees in her a temporary ally against what he sees as an internal threat, Kyle Abbott. Obsessed with power and control, Victor has never fully trusted Audra, but he believes in her manipulative abilities, a powerful tool when used correctly. The secret war behind Audra's conspiracy. Genoa City is always full of secrets and conspiracies, and the war surrounding Kyle Abbott has now entered a tense and dangerous phase. After Kyle accidentally drank poison prepared by Audra Charles, he is facing death, having to be hospitalized in critical condition. Kyle's impending death has caused everyone in the Abbott family and his friends to face a major crisis, but everything is just beginning. The real reason behind this assassination is gradually being revealed, and those involved will not give up until the truth is revealed. Audra, the monster behind the conspiracy. Audra Charles, the ruthless woman behind the plan to poison Kyle, does not want anyone to discover her actions. With sophisticated calculations and cautious steps, Audra has carefully prepared everything in advance. She knew that if Kyle survived and the whole thing was exposed, she would not only lose her chance to advance but also her career and reputation. Therefore, she immediately took extremely careful steps to cover it up. After poisoning Kyle, Audra did not simply leave but also tried to destroy all evidence, making finding the person behind this assassination a huge challenge for those who wanted to clear up the case. She wiped out all traces, using her connections to prevent anyone from discovering this conspiracy. Audra's every move was carefully calculated, as if she was playing a tricky game of chess that no one could predict her next move. Summer and Claire, alliance in the investigation war. However, Audra's plots could not be kept secret forever. Summer Newman, Kyle's close friend and ex-lover, could not sit idly by as Kyle suffered. She knows that she must do everything to save him, no matter what danger she faces. Summer will never forget the beautiful memories she and Kyle had, and that feeling still lingers in her. Meanwhile, Claire Newman, Kyle's new girlfriend and someone who cares for him, decides that Summer cannot be left alone in this fight. Claire knows that if she doesn't act now, Kyle will lose a precious chance of survival, and they will lose him forever. The two work together to investigate and find clues about who is behind this poisoning. Not only do they have to deal with Audra, but they also have to overcome other difficulties, including the complexity of family relationships and the barriers created by the enemy. Summer and Claire's relationship is already complicated, but the current situation forces them to put aside all differences to fight together against a common enemy. They will have to find the missing details in this case and identify those who may be involved in this conspiracy. Race between life and death. Kyle is in the hospital, being cared for and monitored by doctors, but his condition is still showing no signs of improvement. Doctors believe that without special treatment, Kyle's chances of survival are very slim. This leaves the Abbott family in a state of panic, especially Jack Abbott, the eldest brother, who has always protected Kyle at all costs. During this time, the love of family is clearly shown through every action and decision that each person makes. Summer and Claire continue to investigate. They follow every small trace that Audra may have left behind. Both know that this is not a simple case, but a life-and-death battle, not only with the enemy outside but also with the secrets they have to face. They knew that just one small mistake could cost them their chance to save Kyle, and everything would change forever. The truth is unveiled as Summer and Claire get closer to the truth. They discover a crucial detail. Audra was not only the one who carried out the plot to poison Kyle, but also had connections to others in the underworld who may be watching their every move. They realize that this investigation is about more than just finding Kyle's poisoner, but also confronting the powerful people who are manipulating everything behind the scenes. Audra is not alone in this conspiracy, and the truth about who was really behind Kyle's assassination will shock everyone. As the details are revealed, a tense war begins to erupt between the forces of Genoa City. The Abbott family and their closest friends will face unforeseen challenges, but also when the strongest people step up to the plate to protect what they love. Who will win? While Kyle is still in a coma, the secret war between Summer, Claire, and Audra is getting more intense. Who will win this war? Will Kyle wake up and face the plots he never expected? Will Audra continue to hide all her sins, or will the truth finally be revealed? The answer is still unknown, but one thing is for sure: this case will continue to push things to the extreme, opening a new chapter in the tense war in Genoa City. But the question is, who is controlling whom? The truth is, Victor has underestimated the pride and latent rage of a woman who has been humiliated. Audra doesn't just want to get back into the power game. She wants to teach Kyle a lesson. And if Victor thinks he's on top of the game, he hasn't seen Audra when she's really let go of her cute facade lately. She's no longer the woman who ducked her head after a rejected meeting. She no longer sits quietly as Kyle Abbott humiliates her in his office and then turns away like a loser. She's back, and this time, she's not fighting for survival. She fights to win. Kyle Abbott victim or decoy? While Victor is busy calculating every move, Kyle, who once looked down on Audra, may be the one facing the biggest consequences. With his Abbott pride, Kyle thought he had eliminated Audra as an extra pawn. But he forgot that, in any war, the most deeply wounded are often the most dangerous. Audra knows Kyle's weaknesses. His ego, his impatience, and his loose relationship with the Abbott family. She also knows that Victor has a tendency to control everything, even those close to him. Therefore, if she can push Kyle and Victor into an internal war, Audra will be the one holding the cards. Back to the dark. When Audra chooses a dangerous path, the greatest appeal of Audra's character has never been whether she is a good or bad person. It is her moral ambiguity that makes her unpredictable, uncontrollable, and therefore extremely dangerous. Her return is not simply a return to a job or a relationship. It is a journey of revenge, rebirth, and reclaiming everything that was taken from her. The question is no longer, will Audra change, but who will pay the first price? As Audra Charles straddles the line between good and evil, and the plot to assassinate Kyle Abbott is revealed in Genoa City, the surface is always calm, but underneath is a violent vortex of intrigue, betrayal, and ruthless power plays. And at the center of the whirlwind that is about to engulf an entire family and fragile relationships, is Audra Charles, a woman who is facing a cruel choice between honor and revenge. In a surprising move, The Young and the Restless is about to take viewers on a new spiral when the character Victor Newman, a veteran of the world of business and conspiracy, proposes a bold plan to poison Kyle Abbott. And the person he chooses to carry out this cold assassination plan is none other than Audra, the woman who once loved Kyle, was once betrayed by him, and was pushed to the bottom of failure. Victor is behind the arrangement, but does not trust. Victor is not someone who easily trusts anyone, especially someone who can strike back like Audra. Although he sees in her intelligence, ambition, and great skills in power games, he is still wary because Audra is not an easy pawn to control. But this time, Victor has gone too far. Not stopping at plans to mobilize personnel or manipulate shares, Victor plans to eliminate Kyle, who he believes is betraying the family, endangering Jabot and the Newman family. And he needs a hand that is not stained with blood, but can do it without anyone suspecting, Audra Charles. Audra, a fateful decision. Audra is no longer the weak woman after the shock of being ousted from a position of power by Kyle. She has experienced pain, unemployment, and humiliation when being looked down upon as a worthless pawn. But it was also during this time that she found herself, discovering an emotional side that she thought had died: empathy, forgiveness, and the ability to love again, this time with Nate. But Victor's offer shook everything inside her. Part of her wanted to prove that no one could throw Audra Charles away without paying the price. Part of her faltered at the moral line. Poison or love? Power or honor? That decision was the turning point that would define her fate. Fans were divided by the situation. Some cheered for villainous Audra, seeing this as her chance to reclaim the throne, while others pleaded, "Don't do it. Stay loyal to Nate. Fight for the good you've worked so hard to build." Claire, the unsung hero amid the whirlwinds of power, there are always unexpected rays of light, and this time it's Claire. A person who always cares about justice and truth, Claire accidentally discovered Victor and Audra's plot when she overheard a suspicious phone call at Newman Tower. Her intuition told her that Kyle was in danger, and she could not stand still. Claire had been closely monitoring Audra's every move. And on that fateful evening, when the glass of wine laced with poison was ready to be handed to Kyle at society, Claire rushed in, knocking the glass out of Kyle's hand in front of everyone's astonishment. However, it was too late. Kyle had already drunk a portion, and just a few minutes later, he began to feel dizzy and had difficulty breathing. In a panic, Claire screamed for an ambulance, took Kyle to the hospital herself, and begged the doctor to save his life. She not only saved him from death, but also brought the underground war between Genoa City's forces to a climax. Hospital, testimony, and collapse of trust at the hospital. Kyle struggled with the poison in his blood. The doctor said that if Claire had not reacted quickly, Kyle might not have survived. The news immediately spread to Jack, Diane, and the Abbott family, leaving them in disbelief that someone had deliberately murdered Kyle. Meanwhile, Audra disappeared. Speculation arose. Had she followed the plan, or was she running away because of a guilty conscience? Or was she herself a victim of Victor's cruel game? Audra, turning around or sinking deeper? In the following days, public opinion was divided. Some cursed Audra, calling her a failed killer. Others still clung to the belief that she had been forced, that she could not have gone so far. As for Nate, his heart was broken when he learned that the woman he trusted was involved in a murder plan. He went to see Audra, demanding the truth, and for the first time, the woman cried. Not out of fear, but because she realizes that, in this power play, she may have lost the most precious thing, true love. Victor, Claire confrontation. Wine changes direction. Claire, who was once underestimated by Victor, now becomes the main opponent. She does not hesitate to question him, exposing all the evidence to Jack Abbott and the board members. For the first time in many years, Victor Newman is forced to step back, not because of the law, but because his own family members begin to ask, "Have you gone too far?" The Young and the Restless is more than just a story of love and betrayal. It's a psychological drama where every decision can lead to salvation, or destruction. Audra stands at a crossroads. Claire steps into the light as a heroine without a cape. And Victor? For perhaps the first time in his life, he realizes that even absolute power cannot control everything. Kyle Abbott is still fighting for his life, but perhaps the greatest danger no longer comes from the poison in his drink but from the very people who once said they loved him. Genoa City has never lacked for drama, but the latest earthquake is spreading from a sinister plot, where familiar faces begin to reveal their true colors, and life and death choices are made in the nick of time. Audra, the woman once rejected, once broken by the cruel blows of love and power, is back, and no longer a victim. But what's even more terrifying is, she's no longer a good person. From a person who suffered defeat at the hands of Kyle Abbott, Audra stands at a crossroads. On one side is a personality that is being washed away by unemployment and trauma. on the other side is an invitation from the dark at the cost of the life of her ex-lover. The one who makes the invitation is none other than Victor Newman, a man willing to tear his entire family apart to protect his power. Victor Newman and the cold assassination plan. Victor has long disliked Kyle Abbott, a young man who is not loyal enough, too confident, and too close to potential enemies. He sees in Kyle a threat to Jabot, to the Newman empire, and even to the behind-the-scenes plans he is secretly carrying out with the secret shareholders. But instead of confronting him directly as usual, Victor chooses a different path. Silently and deadly. He approaches Audra, who has a personal reason to be the perfect tool. She was humiliated by Kyle, pushed out of her leadership position, and is now struggling to regain his respect and power. Audra knows that Victor does not trust her completely. But he also knows how strong her ambition is. During a secret meeting at the Newman Enterprises office, Victor coldly places a small vial of poison on the table, saying in a calm voice, "The audience has seen Audra as a cold, sharp businesswoman. Then as a loser, heartbroken by Kyle's betrayal. The period of unemployment that seemed to have broken her, but created a very human side, empathy, endurance, and true love, especially in her budding relationship with Nate." But are those changes strong enough to keep her from falling back into temptation? Standing in front of the small but powerful vial of poison, Audra felt her whole world shake. On one hand, it was the call of fame, of sweet revenge. On the other hand, it was her conscience, it was Nate, it was the last bit of goodness left. No one expected Claire, the girl who had just reintegrated into the Newman family, to be the one to ruin that deadly plan. With a special sensitivity, Claire noticed the unusual signals. The secret conversations between Victor and Audra. The times Audra mysteriously disappeared. And especially the appearance of a small blue vial that Claire accidentally discovered in Audra's bag at society. The scene happened in a flash, when Claire walked into the bar just as Audra was secretly dripping an unknown liquid into Kyle's glass of wine. In a split second, Claire rushed over, knocking over the glass of wine, but it was too late. Kyle had already drunk some of it by accident. Moment of life and death. Kyle collapsed to the floor, convulsing, his mouth turning purple. Claire screamed for help, hugging Kyle amid the panic of the bar. Audra stood there, stunned, and Victor disappeared like a ghost. At Memorial Hospital, the doctors confirmed that Kyle had been poisoned, but if it weren't for Claire's quick action, he wouldn't have survived. The poison was extremely potent, rare, and meticulously prepared. A perfect assassination attempt, if Claire hadn't been there at the last minute. Please subscribe to our channel to update the latest news on the channel.